You're 23. Your checking account shows $74. Rent is due in 3 days. You got the job 2 months ago. Entry level. Salary feels okay. Not great, but okay. You survived the first paycheck. Then the second. Bills came. You paid them. What's left is yours. You spend it. Coffee, delivery, Uber, a night out. Nothing crazy. Just normal life. During onboarding, someone from HR talked about benefits. Health insurance, PTO, something called a 401k. You nodded. You didn't really listen. The packet sits in your email, unread. You think, I'll deal with that later. Later never comes. Your coworker mentions it at lunch. Did you set up your 401k? You shrug. Not yet. I'm barely making rent. They nod. The conversation moves on. Weeks pass. Paychecks come and go. You're surviving. That feels like enough. One night, you're scrolling. You see a post. Someone talking about employer match. Free money. They say. You don't click. You scroll past. 3 months in. You get an email. Subject. You're missing out on employer match. You open it. It says your company matches 50% on the first 6% you contribute. You close the email. You think, I can't afford to lose 6% of my paycheck. 6 months pass. You're still at $0 in your 401k. Your coworker who asked you about it? They just hit $1,200. You didn't know. They didn't tell you. But the system has been running for them. Quiet. Automatic. You're 24 now. Rent went up. Your car needs new tires. You're stressed. You think about money constantly. But never long term. Only, how do I make it to Friday? One day, you talk to your older cousin. They're 36. They mention their 401k balance. $340,000. You blink. How? I just started early. And I didn't stop. You feel something. Not quite regret. Not yet. Just awareness. You go home. You open the HR portal. You stare at the 401k section. You read the match explanation again. If you put in 6%, they put in 3%. That's a 50% instant return. You've never gotten a 50% return on anything. You hesitate. You run the numbers. 6% of your paycheck is about $230 a month. That's groceries. That's gas. That's breathing room. You close the portal. But it sticks with you. The next week, you open it again. This time, you don't run. You sign up. 3%. Not the full 6%. But something. You hit submit. 2 weeks later, your paycheck hits. It's smaller. You notice. But you survive. A month passes. You check your 401k balance for the first time. $118. Your contribution, $78. Employer match, $40. It's small, but it's there. You did nothing except set it up. And money appeared. You leave it. You don't tell anyone. You don't post about it. You just let it run. You're 25. Your balance is now $1,847. You didn't watch it grow. You barely thought about it. But every 2 weeks, money moved. From your paycheck into the account. Automatic. Silent. You get a raise. Not huge. 4%. You increase your 401k to 6%. Now you get the full match. Your lifestyle doesn't change much. You adjust. At 26, your balance crosses $4,200. You check it one night. You feel something new. Not pride. Not excitement. Just steadiness. Like you're finally doing something right. Then the market drops. It's all over the news. Recession fears. Inflation. Chaos. You open your 401k. $4,200 is now $3,400. You lost $800. You didn't do anything. It just disappeared. You panic. You think about pulling out. You Google, Should I stop my 401k during a recession? The answers are mixed. You're scared, but you're also tired. You don't have the energy to make a move. So you do nothing. You leave it. The contributions keep going. 6 months later, the market recovers. Your balance, $5,800, higher than before the crash. You bought low without knowing it, because you didn't move. You're 28. Your balance is $14,600. You barely look at it anymore. It just runs. You're 30. You hit $27,000. For the first time, you feel it. This is real money. Not rich, but real. You max out your contribution. Now, it's not just 6%. It's the IRS limit. $22,500 a year. Your lifestyle tightens. But you're used to it now. Discipline isn't motivation anymore. It's just rhythm. At 32, you're at $58,000. You tell no one. Not your friends. Not your family. You just stack. At 35, you cross $100,000. You stare at the screen. 6 figures. In an account you barely think about. You did not hustle for this. You did not grind. You just stayed in. The next year, the account grows by $11,000. You only contributed $23,000. That means the market gave you $11,000. You did nothing for it. The machine is working. At 38, your balance is $185,000. Now, the returns are bigger than your contributions. Last year, you put in $23,000. The account grew by $34,000. You made more by doing nothing than by contributing. Compounding is louder than effort now. You're 40. $250,000. $252,000. You don't feel rich. You feel quiet, calm, controlled. You're 45. $480,000. You run the projection. If you change nothing, if you just let it sit, you'll retire with over $2 million. You breathe. You finally understand what your cousin meant. You're 50. Your 401k balance is $748,000. You check it once a quarter now. Not out of fear. Not out of obsession. Just maintenance. Like checking tire pressure. Your friends talk about money differently now. Some are behind. Some are scared. Some are just starting to panic. I should have started earlier, they say. You don't say much. You just nod. You remember being 23. Rent due. $74 in the bank. Ignoring the email. Closing the portal. If that version of you could see this, you don't know what they'd feel. Pride, maybe, or disbelief. You're 52. The account crosses $900,000. You didn't do anything special this year. Same contributions. Same funds. The market just moved. And you were in it. At 55, you're at $1,100,000. 7 figures. You tell your partner. They smile. We're going to be okay, they say. You nod. You've known that for a while now. You start thinking about retirement differently. It's not a dream anymore. It's a plan. With dates. With numbers. With options. You're 58. $1,400,000. You reduce your hours at work? Not because you have to. Because you can. Your income drops. Your lifestyle doesn't. The 401k cushions everything. At 60, you stop contributing. You've hit your goal. $1,650,000. You let it grow on its own now. No more paycheck deductions. The market does the rest. You're 62. You run the numbers with a financial planner. You can withdraw $70,000 a year for the rest of your life without running out. You think about your first salary. It was $46,000. You're about to retire with more passive income than you started with. At 65, you retire. Your balance, $1,950,000. You don't throw a party. You don't post about it. You just stop working. The first month feels strange. No alarm. No emails. No deadlines. just time. You wake up slow. You drink coffee on the porch. You think about what to do today, not what you have to do, what you want to do. The 401k deposits $5,800 into your checking account. Every month, automatically. You didn't work for it. You worked for it 40 years ago. And then you let time finish the job. You travel, not lavishly, just freely. You say yes more. You worry less. You're 70. The account is still over $1,800,000. Even after 5 years of withdrawals, it's still compounding. You're spending it and it's still growing. That's the part that breaks people's brains. But you get it now. You've lived it. You think about the crash at 26, when you almost pulled out, when you lost $800 and panicked. If you had quit then, you wouldn't be here. You think about the times you wanted to cash out, to buy a car, to pay off a credit card, to take a trip. You didn't. You stayed boring. You stayed consistent. And it made you free. At 75, you're still pulling income. $70,000 a year. The account balance, $1,750,000. You've taken out over $500,000. And you still have more than you retired with. That's compounding. That's patience. That's the system. You're 80. You don't check the account much anymore. Your kids do. They're watching. They're learning. One of them started contributing at 24. You didn't have to convince them. They just saw your life. Quiet, stable, unshaken. And they wanted that. You're 85. You're in your living room. The news is on. Another market crash. People are panicking. Selling everything. You smile. You've seen this before. You lived through 3 of them. You know what happens next. Your 401k is still there. $1,600,000. You're still taking income. You're still fine. Because you built a system that doesn't need you to be smart every day. Just once. At the beginning. You're 88. You don't need the income anymore. Social Security covers your basics. The 401k sits. You leave it for your kids. Maybe your grandkids. You've taken what you needed. The rest is legacy. Not because you were rich. Because you were consistent. You're 90. You think back to that email. The one you almost deleted. You're missing out on employer match. You're glad you opened it. You're glad you started. Even late. Even scared. Even small. You pass away at 91. The 401k balance at death, $1,580,000. Your children inherit it. They don't blow it. You taught them better. Not with words. With decades of behavior. Meanwhile, across town, a 2-3-year-old gets their first job. They receive an email. Subject: Enroll in your 401k today. They open it. They read the first line. They close it. I'll deal with that later. Rent is due in 3 days. Their checking account shows $68. They think about survival. Not retirement. Not compounding. Not 50 years from now. Just Friday. The cycle begins again.